My name's Tommo and welcome to my race Chinwag. For every single Formula 1 race this year, pre and post race, we'll be talking all about it live on YouTube, but this is the audio only version just for your nice cute little ears. Give us a like, 5-star Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you're listening, and let's crack on. Ho, ho, ho. From me, Tommo, Minton as well. Welcome everyone to the Christmas Chinwag. Not live. I'm recording this on New Year's Eve. It's 1:30 in the afternoon. And yeah, it's that time of the year again, isn't it? Now, did I do a Christmas podcast last year? This used to be a bit of a tradition. I would sit down, sometimes with Hannah as well. She's doing stuff today, so it's me, and I brought this one along, who's going to sit on my shoulder for as long as I deem comfortable, and as long as he's comfortable, which I think you're all right there at the minute, mate. And when I walk around in town with him, sometimes you got a dog-friendly shop, but there's like stuff on the floor, and he's a hunter, so he eats everything and anything. Sometimes I will just pick him up and put him on my shoulder because it's genuinely like more convenient for me. It's not a burden on my arms. My hands are free. He's off the ground. He likes being up higher. Little parrot, ain't you? But hello everyone. How are we all doing? I like to do these Christmas podcasts. I can summarise the year all. It's a good time to summarise of what happened this year, if you're interested, on what's happened. This is, my YouTube channel. This is my job now. It's my full-time thing. So it's a good time to reflect. But also I know a lot of people out there, I'm fortunate enough, I've got family that I'm going to later today and tomorrow and Boxing Day as well. Cheers, by the way, I've got a cider. Can't go wrong. This might not be live, but I'm definitely doing this uncut. This is my Aspel is the best cider. This is it's a 6.8%. This is quite a high percentage cider. But apple cider across the board, if you're in the UK, have a bang on it, trust me. You will not be disappointed. But yeah, not everyone's got that privilege, right? So I'm sure some of you might be watching this after you've opened your presents, which, if you're choosing to watch this instead of spending time with your family, you can watch this later, right? Go and spend time with your family. But obviously a lot of people, it's kind of like, like on Valentine's Day, it's a particularly hard time for people who aren't in a relationship. And at Christmas time, if you don't have a lot of close friends and family, don't necessarily have anything to do on Christmas, then, well, we're here to have a little chat about, I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, there's not really much newsworthy going on. This is F1 off season at the end of the day. And just to kind of wrap up the year, I asked on YouTube community if there's any things you want to talk about on here. So I'll pluck a few of them out later on in this pod. But yeah, I suppose, should we start? Start with, just a reflection on the year. A year that's been, in fact, what I'll do, I'll get up my YouTube analytics, because it's always interesting to see, from an analytics point of view, how this year has gone. So if I look at 2023, actually compare that to 2022, I've not actually really looked at this. So this year to date, 10.9 million views. It's pretty cool. It's like just under a million per month on average. But it is down from last year, actually. So if I look at 2022, over the entire year, I got 15 million views. But interestingly, I've actually made, just from Google AdSense, I've actually made a little bit more money this year, even though I've got about 4 million fewer views, which is, it's interesting how YouTube works, isn't it? Like not all views are valued the same by YouTube as a platform. But obviously 2022 was a good competitive season for at least the first half of it. Let me actually have a look at 2021 and see how that compared. So I've done about 11 million views this year. I did 15 last year. And then if I select the range from the start of 2021 till the end of 21, how many days is it? 31 in December? No, it's not. 30? It's 30, isn't it? 2021, boom. Let's see. Wow, and in 2021, I had 18 million views in 2021. So it's going down, but the revenue's going up. But I don't know. I feel like, and obviously there's some big peaks around a certain season finale in 2021. That's actually really interesting to see, because my revenue's gone up each year, even though the views have gone down. It's interesting. But I guess I think with this sport, covering a sport, and you can see actually at the start of the year, the numbers are a lot higher. Like February, it's very high. Obviously, I'm doing all my livery redesigns, which I do plan on still doing for 2024. Don't you worry about that. And there's always the pre-season expectation and hype. You're right there, buddy. Come on, get comfortable. There's always the pre-season expectation and hype. So you're going to get that every season. And then obviously if it ends up being a banger, then the interest carries on. If it doesn't, then fine. But I think I've worked out a few different, there's the whole evergreen content versus more topical content, and this channel definitely started, if you've been here since 2020, the early days, which was the first year it really started going. That year was very much evergreen. Obviously COVID saw the first half of the year it had to kind of be evergreen stuff, but there was an appetite for it because of Drive to Survive pushing views to the channel, blah blah blah. And obviously now that's very much leveled off. And 2023, look, it's been one of the most dominant seasons of all time for sure. But there's also been in dominant seasons in the past, there was also no battle in the midfield. There was no battle. There has been something to captivate most weekends, but it's just never going to be as compelling as a battle at the front, is it? So, because I see some people being like, trying to make drama out of 2023, you're just faking it, whatever. Like, no, okay, yes, there's not a battle at the front, which of course is the most compelling thing to be, but there is still stories going on. And yeah, look, at the end of the day, I think the total field spread is as close as it is factually, the total field spread in qualifying pace is the closest it's ever been. Obviously, race pace is a different story with the Red Bull of Max Verstappen specifically. But yeah, I think there's, I don't know, that you would think next season. I mean, like I said at the start of last year that it will be closer this year than it was in the first year, and Mercedes, Ferrari particularly kind of dropped a smelly one, didn't they? Really. Fingers crossed they turn it around. I was in Maranello earlier this month as well. I don't know if you saw my Instagram. Pretty sick. It was through some Santander stuff we did with Last Lap earlier in the year, and that was part of the award. Met Albert Fabrega, legend, and yeah, it was good. Victor as well, big Spanish YouTuber, does similar kind of content to me. Spanish speaking. I know there was a bit of crossover. Maybe some Victor viewers out there. What a legend! What a lovely chap he is. And yeah, and now we're here today. Obviously, I'm not doing Last Lap next year. That's obviously been a project that I took on midway through 2022. And obviously, I've already spoken about, my reasonings from stepping away from that. Just wanting to have more freedom to go to races, to, not have that tie, to get my videos out sooner as well, because I think at the end of the day, evergreen videos there's a lot more risk, I feel like, now for me putting out an evergreen video, because it's just really hard to guarantee that viewership. Whereas with topical stuff, when there's a particular subject that's come out of a race weekend, get on that quick. I can edit that all myself. I can do it on a Sunday evening and get it out on Monday. That is really important. Like when I used to freelance for WTF1 and we're doing internet's best reactions, I'd sometimes be working on that until like 2-3 in the morning, because you just got to get it out as soon as possible. And that meta is still very much, the way forward. And there's a lot more, there's a lot more channels popping up now as well. And a lot of people, Law's a great channel, Law VS, great guy, had him on Last Lap as well. Sam Perspective's doing bits, Aldas obviously putting it out as per. There's a lot more people out there doing it and jumping on stuff quickly, and it's a combination, isn't it? I think you want to talk about things with authority to a degree that you've kind of taken everything in and you understand what you're talking about and you're not just chatting absolute nonsense. But also, that's how YouTube works. You want to get in there when the topic is prevalent in the hearts and minds of F1 fans, to capitalise and ultimately, that's something you just have to think about with this job, because there are obviously, say that the views have gone down the last 2 years in a row, but also the revenue's gone up, which probably tells me in a way, I think obviously the live streaming component has gotten bigger for me, and I really enjoy doing the live podcasts. I think that the Chinwag is definitely here to, that I think with my main channel videos, I'm pretty happy with where they are. It's just with these live, getting more clips. I think clips of these Chinwags will really help increase the audio only listenership, and then I can just rely on rely on more support over different platforms, not just YouTube, right? Just pigeonholing myself to YouTube, and getting more of a presence elsewhere. Look at his little paws. Sorry, so apologies to all audio only listeners, but his paws look so cute right now. They're just perfectly lent down. He's like a little human with no arms and just 2 legs, aren't you, mate? You tired? Do you want to? Tell you what, my hoodie's down there. Do you want to go and sit in the hoodie? Should we put him in the hoodie? He's been up here for almost 12 minutes now. So, you know what? Let's put you in the hoodie, buddy. All right. Let's shut you down here. All right. You'll be nice and whoa, almost. You'll be nice and comfortable in there. There you go. He's a borrower by nature, isn't he? He's a sausage dog, so that's just how it works. Cheers, everyone. So I was literally, me and Ham went for a long dog walk yesterday, and I was talking about this kind of goals and stuff for 2024. Definitely, make this live podcast, this Chinwag, better. Definitely. Get those main I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy doing all the editing. I do, right now I do everything myself still. I do all my scripting, I do all my editing, I do all my thumbnailing and all that stuff. And I'm quite happy with that. With that one main channel video a week, I'm quite happy with that. And then it's just a matter of, okay, the short form stuff. Again, without Last Lap as a time obligation anymore, can I do that myself probably quicker than it would be sending a edit of the footage, approving it, not necessarily approving it, then going for a second draft, blah blah blah. Probably worth just doing it by myself. And I like doing the stuff, I don't know, maybe that doesn't mean anything to you guys as the viewers, as the people who put me in this position, because without your collective support, this isn't a job. And I'm still doing graphic design for an agency, which was fun. And if and when YouTube does die for me and this platform, I like to think I'll find a way to navigate myself through it and keep working in Formula One for sure. But I know I can always go back to those skills, and that's I think why it's important for me to, I can do all of the components that make a successful YouTube channel. I can do the editing, I can do the design for the thumbnails, I can do the script writing, I can do the recording to camera, blah blah blah. I like that. I think that's important. That's important to me anyway. But when I do my merchandise, where are you going? Oh, he's seen his Snuggie, which I hid away down here. But this is a lot more comfortable, and it's actually a Snuggie with lots of sausage dogs on it. But this is his favourite, obviously, to get into, because look, it probably needs to go for a wash, mate, at some point. I'm not gonna lie, because it does smell of. I love the smell of my sausage dog, but he can kick up a bit of a stink sometimes. What what was I saying? Well, I completely lost my trail of thought. I was saying that. What was I saying? It can't have been anything that important. Doing everything myself. Oh yeah, doing it all myself. Blah blah blah. Like, I don't know if that is of. I don't know if like this channel is called Tommo and it's all done by me, and I kind of like that. I guess, right? Like me outsourcing things makes it feel a bit less personal to me, you know, and perhaps to you. In the same way with my t-shirts, I've literally got, obviously, where I've made my own t-shirts, I decided to keep a couple. So these are my two. These have both been through a few washes. My two larges. So these are my ones. These are the ones that I wear and rotate. But obviously, yes, I didn't actually cut and sew them myself. I got a manufacturer to do that for me. In the Midlands of the United Kingdom. But, you know, I did design it. I did kind of decide on the exact cut and fit. I did package them all myself. I did the swing tags and like, I don't know. Part of it is just being a bit of a control freak, probably. But also, you know, with that process, there are things I would be prepared to outsource more so for future drops, because I definitely want to do more. But I do think the hand packaging them and writing I need to get a different pen, because I was writing on the outside of the bags, but then I saw some of them getting received and the pen was hard, like mainly rubbed off. So I haven't done that with the latest batch that I need to send to the postie soon, which is just down there. So yeah, I think, you know, with YouTube merchandise, it's, I don't know, it's, I want to give value to what I think people want to receive. And I think there is value in me hand packing them all myself, you know, because you've paid for my merchandise. And I think having that increased kind of degree of connection to what you're buying, rather than just, you know, oh, I just made a design, put it on a t-shirt, and then it's gone through some third party thing that's done everything, and then it gets to your door. But there's no like direct connection, I guess, to me doing it that. Plus, you know, and again, most people do it that way, and that's no shade at all. It's just, this is a bit of a passion project for me as well, because I used to work at a clothing retailer, and that kind of stuff I think is kind of important. It's important to me. So yeah, I think for future drops it will be a lot more streamlined. And don't worry, the next t-shirt will be a pink one. I'll make sure of it. But yeah, so channel all in all, pretty happy. Yeah, opportunities as well, right? Outside the channel, obviously, I've been on the Sky podcast now like 6 times, which is pretty great. Like, obviously, I've got a really good relationship with Matt now, Matt Baker, who does the hosting. Try and make myself available as much as I can to give my insight and put myself on a platform. It's really interesting reading the comments as well. It's quite humbling because obviously the Sky Sports F1 audience is not the Tommo audience. So there's a lot of people who are like, oh, who's this guy? What's he talking about? You know, which is like, I mean, it's just, you know, if you're going to put yourself out there, which I'm choosing to put myself out there, then you have to accept there's going to be some blowback. But ultimately, like, yeah, I think I stand my ground. I think I do a good job, and I'd love to do more of that kind of stuff. Again, that's part of, you know, this channel, this YouTube channel will always be number one. Like, I've got zero plans for that to change. Can I promise it will always be number one? Probably. I can't promise that. But like, I promise you, there's zero plans for anything other than this YouTube channel to be my main focus. I have zero plans. And I can't imagine, like, of course, yeah. Imagine if some, you know, I don't know, say Apple TV got the F1 rights and they came along being like, right, we want you to be involved permanently in some fashion. like right now, I'm like, I would say no. But if it's like an ad hoc thing, like, oh, a few races a year, I'd be like, yeah, of course, come on, let's do it. Because I feel like, you know, that would be, I think I've got better, and part of doing last lap as well is I think that's really improved my presenting skills and my comfort in front of multiple cameras with people and earpieces and all that stuff, which is nothing I like planned on doing, but I think I can hold my own. You know, I think I can do an all right job now at that. But yeah, we'll see what the future holds. Again, I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think I've got a good thing going here. My one video a week. Obviously, around the races, it's going to be more topical content. It should get out quick, but I mean, I'm as good an editor as I've ever been. I can definitely improve, but to what extent do I really want to improve? That's kind of debatable. I want to kind of refresh all my graphics ahead of next season in terms of all my overlays and stuff like that. But yeah, otherwise, I think, yeah, more ad hoc stuff. Improve the chinwags. Just like my F1 manager, big up F1 manager, sent me out this stream deck like time ago, and I've never set it up. But it's got these buttons here. So imagine these live streams, right? And I can just put a fart sound on it, or Fernando Alonso's telling you to leave the space, or whatever, right? Carlos Sainz being like, no, Ricky, no. Like, I should be doing that. I should definitely be doing that. And like having all the transitions, have little kind of audio tunes on them, and kind of produce something really... Say, someone I really look up to in this space is a guy called James Alcott, who does football content. And the way he... You know, he really dives deep into the tactics and but he talks about football in the way that I want to talk about F1, you know. It's not this kind of super shouty blah, 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 like classic fan TV thing. It's, you know, a real genuine chat, and he's very involved, and he does a lot of live streams as well. I think James is definitely the person I look up to most in this space, because he does, you know, and his background's production, and he has he has multi-cams, he has zoom in crops and unzoomed in crops that is all set to a thing. So he's like, that's where I'd like to get to for sure. And I think I definitely think I can. I just need to put a bit of time into getting all that stuff worked out. But yeah, he's someone I really look up to in this space, and he's, you know, in terms of his ad hoc stuff, doing bits with Sky and ESPN and all that, like, yeah, there's definitely opportunities there. Just got to stick true to the way I want to talk about the sport, which is the way I've always talked about the sport. I like to think, you know, opinions shouldn't be consistent. Sporting opinions should change over time, but I like to think I'm pretty consistent in the way I come across. Like I noticed in my when I did that like 3 and a bit hour live stream, packing t-shirts, one of the top comments was like, even on a 3.5 hour live stream, Tommo still comes across the same as he does in his videos, which I'm like that meant a lot, because it's like, yeah, I'm just like, to keep up an act for this whole, like, for long streams and all these videos, it's just, that'd be exhausting, man. Like, I don't think, I think this, if you're gonna create content online, there's this assumption you have to be this like really different character, a really dialed up version of yourself. And of course, you know, when I'm doing last lap and presenting, you know, and I'm introing videos and whatever, like, you just do speak in a certain way. But once the intro's out of the way, I like to think it all just kind of chills out, and like, right, welcome to the blah blah, like, you have that at the start, and then it just kind of, you just walk into a kind of a normal conversation. So yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with how things are going. It's good to see a lot of, you know, seen a lot of channels come and go over the years in the F1 space, but I think I hope more pop up. You know, I hope a 2024, a better season in 2024, brings more people to the to the table, because I just think the bigger the space, the better for everyone. Honestly, like I'm all for collaborating as well. I want to do more collaborations with other people, other channels. There are some people out there which I get it. You think, oh well, everyone's a competitor, and but I think collaborations benefit everyone, both the person who is coming onto your channel and you, because you're exposing each other to each other's audiences, and then it's very much a merit-based thing. If someone's going to come over from someone else's channel to yours and watch, then if you're going to keep them, then that's on you. If you're not going to keep them, that's also on you. And sometimes you just, channels have different audiences. I think, there's probably there are some F1 YouTubers that I share more of an audience with than others. In fact, actually, let's have a look at because on analytics, on my YouTube analytics, it does tell me, let me find it. It's audience. So channels that your audience watches. So Formula 1, of course. P1, Matt and Tom. No surprise there. The Race, Oracle Rebel Racing, Audas, Josh Revel, Marquez Brownlee. Love that. Law VS, Perspective. Dan No, I don't know Dan No Skill. I've never heard of Dan No Skill. Oh, that's loud. Oh, so I've not come across this guy before. I have to check him out. DJ Yi J. Again, that's going to come through with a bit of sim racing content. Scotty Mansell, Driver 61, F1 Reverse, FP1 Will, of course, big up Will, and the High Performance Podcast. Interesting. Yeah, it does tell. Yeah, so it kind of tells you in the analytics what other channels that your viewers watch, and it's interesting to see the parallels. Talking of P1, actually, obviously Matt and Tom been doing their live shows. I might have met some of you maybe there, because there were definitely some people at Matt and Tom's live show in Islington who watched my stuff as well, and we were chatting. Obviously, me and Audas did a couple of live shows earlier this year. That's mad to think that the first one was at the start of this year. That's actually mad. Yeah, we've not really. Me and Audas haven't really spoken about the next one. Just the first one was good. F1 Arcade sold out really quickly. We should have made a bit of money, but the venue messed up at the start, and people were paying for drinks, and it wasn't coming out the minimum spend, even though it should have been for like the first 45 minutes, which was obviously stress that we didn't want. But there you go. The audio, the sound system there wasn't very good as well. The speakers, that people couldn't really hear us. So there were definitely issues, but it was the first one we did. Second one was in Barking, bigger venue, but it wasn't as central. It didn't have the F1 arcade pool. We didn't sell the tickets anywhere near as quickly. We still got good numbers in the end. We got like 120, 130. In total, we did have some like guests as well, like other creators that we invited down, because we, be good little creator space. Different creators socialise with each other as well. It's viewership from mine and Audas's audience meeting. Oh, I watch you as well. You know what I mean? So that was fun. And the shows themselves have been great. That had issues with the speakers as well at times, annoyingly. But yeah, I mean, all in all, they were both really fun to do. The second one we both lost a good chunk of money on that. In particular, just minimum spend stuff is tricky. So it's almost like finding a venue for that kind of event. Because for me, for what I'd like to do, I wouldn't want to have more than like 150 at absolute maximum. Because the kind of live show that I want to do, and I feel like our first two have been quite intimate. You sat there, everyone's there, you talk for a bit, then you break and you walk around and you chat with people, and then everyone gets a drink, and it's like that kind of pub chat vibe. And then you get back on stage and you do another 45 minutes, half hour, whatever. Then you have another break and chat, and people get food and walk around, and then you go back up and you do like an interactive quiz, get people. And like for the first two bits interactive, we had people uploads who were like, right, who wants to talk about Charles Leclerc? Who thinks he's had a great season? Who thinks he's overrated? Right, get two people up and then discuss it, debate it, Like these kind of discussions that I like to have, me and Audas both like to have on our channels, but like do it in person, But then with those lower numbers comes you know, the ticket prices have to be somewhat. You've always got minimum spends as well. You know, it's very difficult to come out of that in the green at all. I mean, again, broke even on the first one and lost a good bit of money on the second. So there's certainly things that learnt from both of the first two. I think right now for me, it's not a priority because there's other things I want to get, like sorting out the live streams and getting them bigger. But I definitely want to do another one. Maybe it's more like a one a year thing, like in mid-season. We would definitely explore doing it mid-season for sure. But I'm not really sure. I think, you know, I think a mid-season one, if you had to choose between a before season live stream in like the live show in the Feb, a mid-season live show, or an end of season live show, I think probably, I mean, it depends on the quality of season, doesn't it? I think mid-season is probably you've got something to talk about, but there's still a lot of unknowns. It's probably the most all-encompassing one to do, I think, probably. So maybe in that mid-season break, we'll do another one. Just need to put a bit more promo behind it early before it goes live. Get back to a more central London location, I think. It's always a risk, obviously, going outside of London. That's just kind of what I know. And see how it goes. We'll see. Maybe. I would love to do more of them, though, for sure. The one kind of topic I did want to talk about today, though, so I think that's enough about me and the channel. I don't think there's too much more for me to say. Is a certain quote or line of quotes from Mr. Zak Brown, see McLaren CEO, top dog, McLaren Racing, Bosch, talking about the AlphaTauri Red Bull alliance. Now, for one, because I've seen a few people saying, oh, you know, they're only talking now because Red Bull were the best team and AlphaTauri looked competitive at the end of last year. And it's like, no, people have had issue with Red Bull. Red Bull's ownership of two teams for a long time. You know, that there are many quotes, there are many receipts. But yeah, so basically, there's a quote here from Zak Brown. Believes F1 needs to reevaluate the rules concerning ownership of multiple teams. So the quote is, most other major sports prohibit the ownership of two teams within the same league because of obvious potential damage that it does to competition. It is an unhealthy situation because it impacts decisions made both on and off the track. Whether it's a case of having access to more data, sharing components, personnel, or even having influence over a strategic vote, it's not in the spirit of the regulations. Now, I think I've made my view on this fairly clear, and I talked about this. I did a video earlier this year, didn't I? About the AlphaTauri Red Bull kind of split. You know, will that become a new team? Will it be sold off? Whatever. I would rather you didn't have the same entity owning two teams, for sure. Like, if I could choose, I would certainly pick Red Bull to only own Red Bull Racing and not another team. Now, the argument against Zak's point of view is that, well, a lot of these teams have very close ties, particularly Haas, Ferrari, Williams, Mercedes, you know, any engine supply deal. There's going to be a degree of vested interest there, which could be leveraged. Mercedes could leverage their relationship with McLaren even, for example, to try and get favourable blah, 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 right? I think Haas Ferrari is the most, in terms of they share the most, because my understanding is up until now, Haas actually take more bits from Ferrari than AlphaTauri take from Red Bull officially, in terms of like components and what I know AlphaTauri have tried to develop their own, I think it's suspension, right, rear suspension, I think it was, for time, but they're just going to take Red Bulls next season, which again makes sense. Because, you know, I'm sure the engineers and Finds still believe, you know, no, we can do it ourselves, you know. We don't need to just copy paste whatever Adrian Newey does, but That's Adrian Newey, so maybe you should be. And it feels like they will be from next year. Look, it's there is a grey area, and I think a relationship Haas-Ferrari does live in that grey area. You know, is a Haas going to... If a Haas finds itself in a battle with a Ferrari versus in a battle with a Red Bull, in this made-up scenario where Haas are actually good, is it going to go about things differently because one is a provider of components for them and one has no affiliation with them at all? You can make that argument. And there was talk about, what was it with, if you watch football, Girona are leading La Liga right now. Ahead of Madrid, ahead of Barcelona, ahead of Atletico. And Girona are part of the same ownership group as Manchester City. So I believe there's a rule that if they both end up in the same Champions... They can't, basically. They're not allowed to end up in the same Champions League group. Girona and Man City. That's not allowed to happen because they are both owned by the same, you know, the same backers. And that's a rule in football. In F1, you do have two teams owned by the same organisation. And, you know, even when... Was it Zandvoort last year when there were a lot of conspiracy theorists out there thinking that Tsunoda was told to stop on purpose because then Max could benefit, blah, 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 right? Which I didn't think was true in that instance. But also, there have been clear advantages for Red Bull over time. You know, when that Honda deal was first announced, Red Bull Honda, they actually supplied they supplied Toro Rosso, should I say, with that engine first to almost like litmus test that Honda relationship. So Toro Rosso got the Honda engine before Red Bull did. Red Bull was still running Renault or Tag. They branded them Tag, didn't they? And yeah, look, obviously there's been instances where, or even in, what was it, 2010, when Alguersuari was holding up Vettel briefly, and then they told him, Sebastian is faster than you. That old classic. Well, it's not the classic, but it's another example of someone is faster than you when, you know, team orders weren't allowed back then. So yeah, look, I would, for sure, from a competitive point of view, I would rather... I do think there is a line that goes over. And I don't... Not to the extent that I'm like, Red Bull need to sell the team, they need to be forced to sell the team. But I would rather that not be the case. Like, I would certainly choose someone else to own that team if it was up to me. But, you know, obviously the potential, if AlphaTauri start knocking on the door for, you know, P5, P4 in the constructors, then you can understand why the other teams would be, you know, annoyed, particularly as Red Bull are in such a strong place. And they are the parent team to AlphaTauri, or Racing Bulls, whatever they're going to be called. So, I get it. And I don't disagree. I really don't. I think anyone... You know, the FIA can do as much as they can to try and stop... you know, Haas used the Ferrari wind tunnel. AlphaTauri used the Red Bull wind tunnel. McLaren have got their own now. They used to use Toyotas, but like, there are, again, other examples of this. But for me, I can accept the Haas-Ferrari relationship, but the Red Bull AlphaTauri relationship, you know, for me, ideally it wouldn't be the case. The thing is, it is so difficult to manage these, you know, like, you can't stop people talking. And it's not just Red Bull AlphaTauri people talking, it's Alpine McLaren people talking, it's Haas and Williams people talking. You know, everyone travels together. It's one big travelling circus. It almost reminds me in a way of that whole nonsense around Toto and Susie Wolff. Like, yes, they're married, but there are a lot of relationships of different kinds across the paddock. people talk, and conflicts of interest exist everywhere in Formula One. You could argue that, oh, well, the AlphaTauri Red Bull thing is a similar conflict of interest to Toto and Susie. You could maybe say that, but I just think that it's very on the nose, and yeah, I wish it wasn't the case. So, that light's not pink, is it? Has that light changed since I started shooting this? I'm sure it was pink at the start. I think the RGB's messed up on it. Anyway, let's try and sort this out. Because it's like orange right now. But I want it to be pink. Well, that looks a bit more pink. Does it? Is that pink? I'm just put that there. Or is it out of juice? Oh, is that? It's actually out of battery. Alright, doesn't matter. This is out of battery. That was fully charged. I'm going to have to sort out the RGB value on that next time. But anyway. That's what Zach thinks. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below if you're watching here on YouTube, or if you can comment on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're watching. Right, let's give this community post I did a little while ago and see what questions you have. Right, let's have a look. Let's have a little look. My comment keeps Alonso. Should F1 teams be allowed to run just one car? This is from Stefan. Red Bull, Aston Martin, Williams. Save money for existing teams, cheaper for new teams entering the sport. Those teams have proven a second driver can be a waste. Should F1 teams be allowed to run just one car? Ooh. Ooh. Damn. Should F1 teams be allowed? But then you'd only have... Well, so are you saying, Stefan, that you'd have 20 teams with one car each? It's an interesting question. Would you rather 10 teams with 2 cars each, or 20 teams with 1 car each? I mean, to spend all of that money to be in F1, even a cost cap F1, and to only have 1 car, I don't know. 1 car. But then you could also have brands like Audi. Well, Audi already coming in, but Porsche and Andretti and blah, 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 and all these other teams, and you could have 20 teams. I like the teammate dynamics. You know what? I think that's just part of most motorsport. Have, 2 drivers per team. At least most top tier motorsport. At least in some disciplines you have more than 2 drivers per team. So it's an interesting idea, Stefan. But I don't know. I don't think... I think the teammate dynamics is kind of important, And it gives us more when we're analysing drivers' performances and the such. So, yeah. But I think it's an interesting point. It's an interesting point. What is the best item in a Christmas dinner from Funky Camels? Funky. Best item in a Christmas dinner is roast potatoes. When they're done right, roast potatoes are my weakness. I love a roasty. I love a good roasty. Yorkshire pudding's decent. Gravy's very important as well. My most controversial Christmas dinner take is that pigs in blankets are so overrated. Like, they're not... I don't dislike them, but they're just mid. Pigs in blankets are mid. I'm sorry, they just are. And Brussels sprouts can be better than pigs in blankets. What you do, you cook them, you kind of part boil them, and then you chuck them in like a frying pan or something with a bit of bacon, right? So you kind of take the pig bacon from the pigs in blankets, put it in with the... And obviously you got the fat from the bacon that kind of renders, and you cook that, the Brussels sprouts, and it just gives it a bit of a meatiness. But I'd rather have properly cooked Brussels sprouts, not just boiled and just chucked on the plate. Properly cooked Brussels sprouts with, then I would pigs in blankets. They're just not worth it. They're just not worth it. Not at all. F2 Championship predictions. Yes, so if you saw my video on F2, why I think F2 is going to be the greatest season of all time in 2024. There's a lot of competition, a lot of big names. Antonelli, Behrman, Miata, Bortoleto, Marta, Colapinto, Aaron, O'Sullivan. It goes on. So, who's going to win F2? I think, you know what, I think honestly Miata should be in a really strong place at the start of the year, given his experience in, you know, he's driven F4, F3, Super Formula Light, Super Formula. He's done a bit of, obviously he's done Super GT, so he's got that experience in GT cars. You know, you saw Lawson go to DTM and do bits. I think, you know, Miata winning Super GT was big. I would expect Miata to be in a good place early doors. But then once, you know, your likes of Antonelli, Bortoleto get on top of the cars, then it'll be an interesting split first half to second half, actually, this season. Be an interesting split. If I had to today put money on someone to win it, I think I'd probably put... Ooh, tough. Marta is definitely up there for me. Victor Marta. And actually, pre-pack on YouTube Community thinks it's between Antonelli and Marta. I think it depends how quickly Antonelli gets up to speed, but he's always got up to speed super quickly. So, oh man, I would say, I think Antonelli. I think the star quality of Antonelli is going to be too much, but especially as it's new cars for everyone as well. I wonder how differently they're going to feel, because again, on the spec sheet, these new F2 cars are almost identical to last year's. They're like 4 centimeters longer. That's it. But the aero is very different. Those rear wings just look, and I wonder how much of a difference that's actually going to make to the. What's my hand like a weird color? Anyway. So yeah, I'll probably say Antonelli. I think you can do a Piastri and just win it on debut. Clanger, banger team and drive over the course of the year. Best race, memorable moments, gut feeling about next year's car performance. Oh, honestly, like next year's so difficult to, other than Red Bull being tops. I know Christian Horner's been quoted saying, you know, we're finding it more difficult to unlock performance, blah, blah, blah. You know, it is in Christian Horner's best interest, let's just say, to make next year sound exciting. Okay? Because, of course, it's in every team principal's best interest, because the value of Red Bull Racing is inherently tied to the value of Formula One. The value of Mercedes is inherently tied to Formula One. I talked about this with my Toto Wolff rant when he just went off on a bit of a petulant tirade at Vegas. So, who's going to be the... Because we never had a consistently second quickest car last year, and that's why Checo got second in the end. Oh, like McLaren's trajectory, just they look like they're on the right. They're going in a direction, you know. And they've got Lando and Oscar at the wheel, and Oscar's, you got to think, is just going to take another step forward in 2024. So, you know, if I had to put money on who's going to be the second best team, it would be McLaren. Because who knows what Ferrari Mercedes are cooking. But if Charles Leclerc can start 24 as well as he finished 23, that is a scary, scary good proposition. Scary good proposition. Actually, let's have a little look at something I didn't want to look at. Is my videos this year. Let's do 2023. So my top videos in 2023. So my top video was Shock, when I asked Lando and Oscar to build the Dream F1 teams, which I was really happy with that video. That was obviously a big video for me this year, sitting on 420,000 views, which is pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Yeah, it was. Yeah, obviously when McLaren said, "Oh, you get 10 minutes with Lando and Oscar," I was like, okay, right, I've got to make a banging YouTube video out of this. And I was like, you know what, yeah, let's get them to build their dream F1 team, just like I do with my What If Whoever Joined F1 series, but they can do it, and then I'll bring it to life, inspired by their answers. They were in good form, you know, which was good. It probably helped where I've done a couple of bits with Lando before on Quadrant. It wasn't like it was a degree of acknowledgement. Oh, right, yeah. Which I think helped because and Oscar's just chill, man. You know, I did say on that day, on that Chrome McLaren livery day, I did see them two were having to do some pretty painful content to watch from the outside looking in. I'm not going to name any names. But they were doing a lot of short form stuff outside, and I was just like, no, I'll just leave them to do their thing. Like, I'm going to catch up with them later. Can have a proper sit down, a proper chat. Shout out Matt Amos as well, who helped out with the recording of that. But yeah, I was really happy with that video, how that came out. That was the kind of video I really should have like clipped up and done loads of short form from it as well, and I just never did. I saw some like Japanese F1 account clipping the bit where Lando said he'd pick Yuki as his driver, which I thought was quite cool. It was quite funny. But yeah, so that was my best video of the year. Then it was transfer predictions, driver transfer predictions. So I did that in Feb. Interesting. So I did that in the middle of Feb. Okay. Take reference to those timings because that's always going to be I don't want to do that video too soon. But yeah, that's on 284,000. And then my season predictions, did that at the end of Feb. Can't remember. Should do my season predictions before or after testing. I know some people are saying I should do 2 lots of season predictions. I should do predictions pre-testing and post-testing. I don't know. Because I don't know how much weight I'm actually going to give to testing. I'm still not sure on that one. That did 267. Mid-season report did 240. What were the F1 grid doing 7 years ago? That did 200k. Because that was a video I did 3 years ago. And I did that in 2023. And then I'll do that again in 2026. So I think every 3 years, you look at 7 years ago, you get, you know, a good range. Why doesn't Lewis have 10 wins in a row? I thought that was a interesting topic. Reacting to my season predictions, almost 200k. Mercedes down for worst teammate pairings. That was a video that got random views out of nowhere. And then 5 drivers you didn't know can legally race in F1. Yeah, interesting. Interesting. And actually, let's have a look at 2022. What were my best videos in 22? So 23 Formula 1 driver transfer predictions got almost 500,000. Jeez. And then Formula 1 season predictions almost got 4. That's the thing, like these predictions videos and the mid-season report as well. It's all the same videos. It's just in 2022 they were getting a lot more views. But the videos are fundamentally the same. It's interesting. It's interesting. Helmet tier list did well, actually. I haven't done that. I didn't do that for 23. So, and my Oscar Piastri will not race for Alpine in 2023 live stream done over 250,000 views. Jeez. And yeah, I think Red Bull will sell AlphaTauri soon. Here's why. And the record that will never be beaten, which of course was beaten. And another live stream as well. Ricardo out, Piastri in. That did 230,000 views. Jeez, that's crazy. And then what? 2020. What about in 21? What were my 10 best videos in 2021? Let's have a butch. This is quite interesting actually. I've not really looked at this. Come on, keyboard. Is the keyboard dead? I think the keyboard's. Oh no, it's not dead. Let's have a look. 2021. My my most viewed videos, my most viewed video did over 500,000. Why Haas will probably leave Formula One. They did not. Then it was driver transfer predictions. I tried to fix the 7 worst F1 tracks. That was a good video. Actually, so that video inspired a video that Ferrari did, I was told, when I went to Maranello. From one of the social guys, that they were inspired by, fixing the worst F1 tracks, and they did like creating the best F1 track. Dream F1 season calendar. That could be a good video to remake in 2024, perhaps. Because again, all these 21 videos next year will be 3 years old. So then I can start to do like updated versions of those videos. You know, it's just it's a smart way of hopefully guaranteeing some good views. Reactions to most controversial F1 opinions. Lance is faster than Max. And War of the Formula 1 pay drivers. Joe versus Latifi versus Mazepin. Well, Joe's still here. He's still doing it. So, big up Joe. He needs to step it up in 24. Otherwise, he won't be here for much longer. Right, okay. Well, 55 minutes. I think just shy of an hour is about right. So, hope you've all enjoyed this very casual, not live, but still a Chinwag podcast, live stream, wherever you are, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Maybe, you know, if you got this far, type Aspel in the chat on YouTube or reply on Spotify, Apple Pods. And yeah, let me know any suggestions you have for anything. Always open to hearing suggestions for content and stuff going forward. But yeah, pleasure as always. Thank you for sticking by what I do. I wouldn't be able to do this without your support, so thank you. These really cool opportunities starting to come up now. It's a privilege, genuinely. And yeah, make sure, you know, if you're on your own this Christmas, then keep on plugging away. And if there's anyone you know who's on their own or could do with you haven't reached out to for a while, give them a little message, you know. Let them know you're about. And yeah, bring on 2024. 1 year closer to GTA 6, which is pretty exciting. I'll have to try and make some racing themed content on GTA 6. That'd be fun. But yeah, drop a like on the stream if you watch this on, it's not a stream, on the pod on YouTube, and 5-star. Tell your friends that if they want to listen to a pasty Englishman talk about F1, which there's not enough pasty Englishmen talking about F1 in the world, then you know where to find me. Yeah, bring on 2024. And for New Year, there will be my big fat quiz of the year. I've already filmed all of that. So tune in on New Year's Day. Not sure what time exactly, but New Year's Day, my Big Fat Quiz of the Year 2023 edition will be going live on the Tommo YouTube channel. So be sure to be around for that. Thank you again. And I guess I should do my proper outro. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da.